Welcome to Tax Bites for Expats, the top tax tips you want to know as an expat. The podcast is here to help answer the common queries and concerns expats have when moving to or from Ireland. Complex taxes explained simply. We'll focus on the Irish and international tax issues to be aware of to ensure you save time, money, and stress.
Avoid the hassle of dealing with your bank and transfer online, by app or over the phone or Currencies Direct today. Keep listening for an exclusive offer for Tax Bites for Expats listeners, and thanks to Currencies Direct for their support of this podcast.
So, we're ready to wrap up the operational pieces of moving here. You have driving tests coming up.
Yes. So I'd love to talk about this because we've done podcasts on this. So I'd love you to talk through getting insurance, the driving test process, and general observations about getting on the road in Ireland. You alluded to it earlier, the joys of driving on the opposite side.
Yeah. We're getting comfortable. So I'm a bit of a film buff, and I drove to a nearby town to see a film with a cinema club recently, and it was my first adventure driving at night in Ireland. So I passed. I'm still, we made it.
Good.
Yeah. So I think all the steps were in my plan, so I understood the process, so to speak. But I think it can be challenging, yet still, to engage the insurance industry, beforehand, and also to understand just how variable the cost. Yeah, it's not necessarily uniform, right? So I guess mileage may vary depending on who you contact for car insurance. But I can tell you this, that we thought it would be a matter of just presenting a US driver's license and engaging an insurance company and moving forward. And we knew there would be a driving test and learning, et cetera. But no, the insurers want to know your driving experience, right? In terms of liability, not that have a license and you've been driving for 40 years. How many claims have you posted with your insurance company in the last 3 years? So your insurer here in Ireland will want a letter of experience, and your in my case, US insurance company will be familiar with that request.
Okay.
And what will come back will be that time, my car was hit in a parking lot, or that time we were in an accident 3 years ago. And it's not about who was driving, which one of us or another family member. It's about how many claims were made against the policy.
Okay.
So, I would flag that for people. I see that question online a lot. Hey, why is insurance expensive, or why is it not, or what's the difference? It's going to be based on, to some large extent, the number of claims you've had in the US against your current insurance.
To drive carefully, I think is the message there.
Yeah, I had an accident not long before moving. Bad timing, because my insurance now in Ireland is pretty expensive. So I'm very anxious to get an Irish driver's license, and for my insurer here in Ireland to reward me for a year of safe driving, and
come down.
Yeah, that'll come down.
We hear that commonly. It's a difficulty for people who are coming from the US sometimes. So it strikes me listening to you that you're excellent at planning. What practical things, big or small, are you now glad that you planned for in advance, looking back?
Yeah, I think what we were really good about were, I call them creating wins. So one of the positive things about creating a detailed plan is you get to celebrate, when you achieve, when you check one of those boxes, and they do stand out, some of them more than others. For me, a big one was, to be honest, I arrived during the presidential election campaign. And so getting registered to vote and voting in an Irish election was something I hadn't planned to be able to do. And I don't think I would have, Steph, if it weren't president, which is more ceremonial than maybe the same role in another country, right? So I felt like that was exciting for me. Also, an opportunity for me to deep dive and understand more about national politics and subscribe to the Irish Times and begin to kind of consume and part of that acclimation. So the voting, but everything just around that helped me kind of ramp, in my settling here, and then showing up to vote. That was, as a new Irish citizen, a new Irish resident, that was meaningful to me to walk to the polling place and cast a vote.
And I think as well, any of those like things that help us understand how the system works, whether it's knowing that, your local area has bin collection on Wednesdays, or that, a doctor's appointment, well, if you ring at 8:30, you'll get an appointment. All these little things, the learnings they're so good because we do so many different things in our day-to-day life without actually realizing that we know how things work. It takes time to absorb all that.
Yeah, I think the maybe one of the, again, understanding the process on paper is one thing, but living here and transitioning to Irish healthcare / health insurance, another pretty significant transition and a lot of learning.
What's your experience, good or bad, with the Irish Health Service this far?
Yeah. So let's start off, with a little bit of context. Healthcare in the United States is a business.
100%. Yeah.
It's a profit and loss business. So what that means is you might walk into a hospital and it looks like a bank or a corporate center or the Taj Mahal. Here in rural Ireland, right? Things are much more low key, understated. It's more about the medicine and the treatment that way. There's a little bit of an adjustment here, right? Healthcare is not this big corporate enterprise where we are in Limerick. All very positive to date. And then I still think, even today, I would not want to teach a course on the difference between private and public healthcare and the role of insurance in Ireland, in the US. So we do have health insurance here and very happy with it and very pleased at how efficient it is and works when we file a claim with our phones and get reimbursed in a week.
Yeah, it's
It's as a for-profit business in the US, the insurance company's first order of business is to not pay a claim. Like every claim that they don't pay goes to the bottom line. So it's an ordeal of jumping through hoops. So that's been quite refreshing. I'm still going through 4 months. I'm gone to the dentist, gone to the doctor. We've established relationships. What the cover is exactly, I'm kind of learning as I go.
And now a quick word on our episode sponsor, Currencies Direct. If you're looking for a fast, easy way to transfer money to or from Ireland without the hassle and cost of dealing with your bank, keep it simple with Currencies Direct. Whether you're buying property or require regular currency transfers, Currencies Direct can help you save money. As a special offer for our listeners, when you use the link in the show notes and quote Expat taxes when registering with Currencies Direct, you'll receive a €50 one-for-all or Amazon voucher when you transfer €5,000 or more in your first 6 months with Currencies Direct. Registration is quick and easy, and you decide how you transfer 24/7 via their online money transfer service, over the phone with one of their friendly experts, or by using their handy mobile app. Check the show notes or head to currenciesdirect.com to register, and thanks to Currencies Direct for the support of this podcast.
I was in New York in April, and this is just an observation from the other side. Irish people generally cannot get over the amount of advertising that's done about the medical industry. It blows. And I speak to other people, but we just can't. It's just so alien to us. So to say that the systems are at completely different ends of the spectrum, I think is not an overstatement. They are. And, I know a lot of people listening to this, they're concerned about the health system in Ireland. I sat next to a nurse on a flight the other day, and we had a lovely conversation just about, the Irish health service. The media sometimes can be quite negative because obviously bad news is easy to read,
Sure.
and it gets clicks. But generally speaking, and from a very personal perspective, because I'm in a very privileged position to never have had a bad experience with the health service, it is generally very, very good. And, I don't think we do enough to kind of highlight that. People tend to kind of be nervous coming from that heavily corporate, expensive process to Ireland. It's scary, because obviously we all want our health is our wealth, and it's something people shouldn't underestimate.
We're here for all the reasons we talked about earlier: adventure, family, travel, you know. But I will add, related to the healthcare, that I, I can pay for my rent of this apartment for a year is about equal to what insurance and healthcare costs would have been in the United States for me in 2026.
Tom, this hits at something, okay? And it hits at something that's actually very important for people to be aware. When we do tax planning with our clients and when we help them look at what their financial requirements are in Ireland,
Mhm.
generally I find people overestimate what it's going to cost to live comfortably and have a nice lifestyle in Ireland, meals out, trips, standard.
Yeah.
And I think this is very to the heart of it, is that there's some base costs that people incur in the US that just aren't necessarily, ignoring rent, okay, because rent is expensive here.
Yes.
But so are other costs that you potentially no longer have. Has your experience been that it's been expensive to live in Limerick? What is your observation on that? Because mine are just high level observations.
Yeah. So far, we're very pleased that there's plenty of offsets. So, for instance, we're quite happy with public transportation here.
Oh, okay.
Like, we do drive. We have bought a car. It is insured, and we take little trips. But we're just as happy to walk outside the apartment building, get on a public bus, and take it to the university and the university itself. Right? These are things that we probably wouldn't have done in Charlotte or done as easily. That's for sure. And there's very little cost involved in that sort of public transport here. Taking a train to Dublin, was ridiculously inexpensive that way. And then, yeah, healthcare itself. It's just no other way to say it. It's just huge cost savings out of our monthly spending plan being here versus in the US. And, it's just a matter of timing because that situation is worsening in the US.
Yeah. Is there anything you'd do differently if you were starting this process again?
Gosh, I would start an uptake on Irish and European sports. I made a list of challenges, before we jumped on the call, and this one is not going to be. I don't know. We'll see how many of your listeners have this, but I'm a bit of a sports addict. In the U.S., that means college sports, U.S. college sports here.
Ah, okay.
And number one, none of the streaming platforms in Europe offer a portfolio of U.S. college football or basketball. And listen, I'm a computer guy. I'm tech savvy. I can get it. I would rather get it, subscribe to it, pay for it, and have it legally. So I would start that transition earlier. I'm picking up GAA sports. I've
Good.
gone to hurling. Munster is huge on rugby. So I'm going to push myself down that path because, listen, even if I could watch the University of North Carolina play basketball, the game starts at 1 a.m.
Yeah, I know the time zone's a bit of a killer. Test how much you love it.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's it. I think everything else, once you're planning, there's going to be some variation in what you really experience, and I think there's no way to prepare other than that lived experience. And for me, it has meant leaving the spreadsheet, talking to people, being in the wine store, asking for help, picking out an Irish whiskey, such that the manager invites me to join the Treaty City Whiskey Society, so then I have another venue that way. So it's to extend yourself. That would be it, to reach out and ask.
And you should be commended for doing that, and you'll be rewarded for it, because it's not easy to put yourself out there sometimes.
Mm.
It's when you've moved and you're kind of tired, it's the process is tiring, and just finding that energy, and you just really hope that when people, I often think, having been an expat, when you see someone in the street and they look lost, they don't know where they're going, or they don't know how to
Mhm.
work a machine, taking that 30 seconds to help them, you just never know what someone's going through, why. It just, I really do believe pay it forward. And that's what you're doing today, is you're sharing your experience. There's other people listening to this that will, hang on every word. To those people who are listening and are in the early phases of their move, and they're feeling a little bit overwhelmed by all the decisions, what advice would you give them?
Just as I found this podcast, there are a ton of resources out there to engage before you make this step. Consume all of that content. When I wanted to shout out, gosh, what is it called, Steph? There's a diaspora organization, Crosscare.
Yes.
Crosscare.
Yeah. Hmm.
Folks should Google up that one. Some very good recorded webcast on making the move, But, expat taxes, or taxes for expats, this podcast, you know, get the real deal. Like, use the government websites, use established advisors for the information that you need to plan.
Hmm.
And then certainly go into Reddit, go into Facebook, mix it up, and just take everything you see there with a bit of a grain of salt. And you'll be able to, if you have the authoritative sources on the one hand, right? The HSC for healthcare, a tax advisor, right? Helping you with that part, then you can distill, a little bit more about what's real. But a good mix of both, I think, is healthy.
I agree. I think so. And you'll sometimes pick up, I pick up things all the time from our clients, different little tips. And, I haven't made the move from the US myself. So it's just so much information out there. And I think there's overwhelm sometimes as well, just trying to kind of condense what you need to do. You can't do everything at once, and you need to kind of take a phased approach to it, which I think you and Mary Lane have done really, really well. What do you look forward to about the next couple of years in Ireland?
Yeah. So as we get settled, now it's time for us to have visitors. So in the near term, two big things. We have a 5-year-old grandson that's coming to spend Christmas with us. So we'll spend a week in Connemara enjoying the countryside there. And then, gosh, just below that in priority, my golf clubs should arrive next week. So,
Brilliant.
in this kind of incremental stepping, right? There were some priorities in what we moved over, and the golf clubs are next. So,
Mm.
yeah, that's big. And then, yeah, we're anxious to have the operational pieces nailed down and begin to live a little bit, to plan for ourselves to go to Dublin to see a show, or to go to London to see a show, or to, do those sorts of things that we want to do in our retirement.
Mm. It's all very positive, isn't it? It really, really is.
Yeah.
Tom, thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed talking to you, and I know we've done, work with you kind of on the tax and that side of things. But it's really lovely to hear when somebody makes the move. We as a team love seeing our clients go ahead and actually live the experience. It sounds like that's exactly what you're doing. And yeah, we wish you all the best as you and Mary Lane settle in. And Ireland becomes home, and it sounds like you're off to a really positive start.
Thanks, Steph. Appreciate all the support on your side too.
Pleasure.
We'll stay in touch.
We will indeed. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Tax Bites for Expats. Please do leave a rating or review wherever you listen to your podcast. And as always, remember to take professional tax advice specific to your personal circumstances before acting or refraining from action in connection with the matters dealt with in this series. The material in this podcast is intended to give general guidance only.